Hey folks, welcome. Here we discuss real stories by real people. Today we have the story of a man who finds his wife in another man's house when he goes to put out a fire. Let's see how it goes. Story 1. We've been married for almost 8 years now and have known each other half of our lives. In the past couple of years, we've been having disagreements about a couple of things. For one thing, I don't drink. My wife loves to drink, however, as she's an aficionado. Whiskey, gin, vodka, you name it. She loves the stuff. It's her hobby, and I wouldn't normally talk bad about it. But it's just gotten so bad lately. It's like when she's functioning. But anytime it's time to drink, she goes all in all the time. At any occasion, too, she can't ever have a light drink. 1 or 2 beers or a single margarita or something. No, she only goes for the hard stuff right away and goes so deep into it that she's sloshed by the time we have to leave. It's embarrassing, and I honestly think it has affected her mental state. She slurs her words more often, she's more aggressive and abrasive, and she becomes really mean sometimes. I try to talk to her about this and she just calls me boring and drops the issue. At first I was fine with letting it go, but it was beginning to seep into our marriage. I can't really talk to her for long periods of time before one of us gets frustrated with the other and we just end the conversation. It's been pretty hard lately. So, a flashback to a couple of days ago. My wife and I head to work. She works at an accounting firm and I work for the fire department. And we get a call about a burning house. We get there and there are people standing around just sort of watching the fire burn. This is pretty common actually. Luckily, we were able to contain the fire so that it didn't spread to other houses, and it did not completely burn down and destroy the house. A lot of things got burned, but otherwise the place was still standing. Insurance would probably cover most of it. We did a quick investigation into the fire and found where the likely source was. It looked like there was some sort of romantic morning planned, or anniversary or some such. We found candle stands that had been knocked over, and rags that might have been a flammable blanket or robe, some sort of cloth. Just a guess, but a candle got knocked over somehow, and the fire began burning after getting into contact with some flammable liquid or gel, like a lubricant or oil. Be careful with those. Anyway, we came back outside and sort of just talked about the damage, and I was trying to spot who the owners of the house might be so I could talk to them. I saw people who I think were neighbors, and a younger guy who looked panicked was who I assumed the homeowner was. I'm kind of getting run over by my guys who were outside, and I'm really confused about what's going on. They were like trying to get me to let them take care of it and just wait around by the house. Well, I found out why eventually because I saw one of the guys talking to my wife. I came up to her and asked her what she was doing here. She just froze up. I think she was in shock, or maybe she was acting really well. I kept trying to get her to talk to me, but she didn't give me a straight response, and just looked really frazzled and shocked by what was happening. I was getting more and more upset about this, and I think that the guys knew it, so they pulled me away and got told to drop it until they figured out what happened. I worked the rest of my shift without really any news of what happened. When I got home, my wife was waiting for me and we started talking about what was going on. She told me that the house was actually one of her boss's houses and that she was there in order to pick some things up they needed for work. He was actually waiting for his own wife and accidentally caused a fire when some sort of electrical outlet sparked and caused the fire. The two of them got out of there and she was just in shock when she saw me and couldn't think straight. I'm sorry, but this story is just bullshit. It doesn't make any goddamn sense. Nobody needs to physically go and get files in the modern day when email exists. And why did he even have a setup like the one that was in the house at 11 a.m.? The fire was definitely not an electrical one, and I don't even think that guy was her boss. I didn't believe it, but I just said okay because I was so tired and not interested in fighting at the time. I'm still thinking about it now, and I still can't believe it. I'm sure that she was cheating on me, and I bet the fire didn't even end that affair. How do I get her to admit, or how do I find the evidence of her cheating? Update. I actually did not have to get her to admit in the end. She admitted it herself to me. We had gone completely quiet talking to each other and didn't do anything together anymore. Eventually, she came up to me and explained that she was in fact having an affair. The man was not her boss, and the two of them had actually started the fire. Apparently, the two of them had some sort of argument, and my wife was actually the one to start the fire when she threw a lit candle for some reason. I don't know why she admitted this to me, but I think she was expecting to lessen the blow or something of me finding out. I don't know. She tried to explain it to me, but I didn't listen. Obviously, we're separating. I don't really care what her reasons are. She threw away the years we had together for some other person. I don't want to be with a person who would do that. Final update. Final update on this, I think. My now ex-wife and I have separated fully. Since we started that, though, there's actually been a civil lawsuit set against her by her former lover for burning her home. Literally 2 days after we were fully divorced, I was informed that she had a lawsuit against her for causing fire damage and that they were seeking restitution. I might actually be served as a witness in this case, but because we're no longer connected parties, I won't have to pay anything if she loses. This story ended up pretty good for me in the end. Cheers. You dodged a bullet with this one, OP. You get to divorce your wife and not be involved in the lawsuit she caused by herself. I'm glad you found out about her infidelity. Your marriage was going bad, and it was about time you left, but you needed that extra push. And I think you finding out that she's a cheater was just what you needed. A partner that you can't get to talk about anything, resolve issues with, and who gets drunk and refuses help isn't a partner anymore. Take care, OP. Story 2. My wife, 27, and I, 33, have been together for 6 years, married for 3, no kids. Note that my wife is an objective 10 out of 10 bombshell and gets hit on at work. Bartender at a beach bar. All the time by everyone, young, old, rich, and poor. I'm a quite liberal guy. I've accepted that this is going to happen forever and trusted her to handle it gracefully. Wife came home pissed drunk the other night. Based on previous behavior, I was suspicious. Went through her phone and found DMs from the one person she shouldn't have DMs with. There was a previous confrontation about this dude 2.5 months ago. A coworker propositioned her, whereafter I demanded she block his number and all social media and break contact. She agreed. She very clearly stopped at one point. The DMs were incriminating. I confronted her the following morning asking to see her phone. She tried to keep it out of reach and went straight into Insta. I grabbed it. She eventually released her grip. She had apparently woken up in the middle of the night and deleted the thread. I read for her the captions and simply asked her to just tell me the truth. At this point, I knew they were flirtatious, but not that they had effed. A few minutes into it, she confessed. According to her, the first 3 times were in early July. The most recent 2 were when I was out of town for 4 days exactly 3 weeks ago. Culpability. I graduated from a fancy grad program in May 2018. Due to anxiety, self-loathing, and abuse of alcohol, all of which surfaced for the first time in my life halfway through grad school, I hadn't done shit with the past year. I've delayed my licensure exam twice now, which is shameful at best. And I haven't held more than a side job since graduating. Nothing in my career field, mainly because of the hours required to study for the exam. It's been bad, and it's been worse. I've been a piece of shit. I feel I bear the majority of the responsibility for bringing about a situation in which my wife would think to cheat. I was dismissive, gained weight, made empty promises to change, and neglected her in disgraceful ways. I admit and accept all of that and hate myself for it. What I can't do is reconcile that reasonable culpability with her actions, especially the most recent ones. Change. 6 weeks ago, she came to me with the notion of a trial separation. I became irate, rejected the premise, and promised, sincerely for once, to change my behavior. She agreed to wait it out and give it a shot. Since then, the drinking is under control by anyone's measure. I've steadily come into a heavy gym routine, dropped 15 previously gained pounds, and at it 6 days a week. And for the first time in a very long time, barring this news, I feel optimistic about finally getting my shit together. Namely, I can't stomach the shame of putting it off, let alone failing this exam 4 months away. I know I'm capable of passing, it just takes time. If it kills me, I'll do it. In the time since then, it's been evident for me for various reasons that she's not completely there. I see now it's because she was hiding this sporadic, as she claims, affair. Says she had no real feelings for him, not someone she's ever considered leaving me for. It was just exciting and fun, whereas nothing in our relationship to that point was giving her those things. Reaction. Honestly, there's more to it. 2.5 years ago, on the odd bender one day, I Skyped an ex-fling. We didn't speak regularly, but I knew that with her, whatever I wanted was always on the table and I effed up. It was simply a one-time carnal thing. No persisting dialogue. I passed out after and she found some screenshots on my phone. I now understand that to be a form of cheating in itself. Nothing like it ever happened again, but she certainly hasn't forgotten. My thoughts. I don't know what I think. I still very much love her to death. I can think of no one I would rather have for a life partner and the mother of my future children. I feel an absurdly wide range of emotions surrounding this whole thing. But at the base of it all is guilt and shame in realizing that my actions contributed so greatly to the degradation of our relationship in the first place. Furthering the shame is that I have no idea what someone does in exactly my situation, where their own long-term actions and inactions invited the infidelity, in order to maintain some semblance of dignity in the eyes of their partner. I've read that when it comes to infidelity, there are two types of people. Those who can get past it, and those who can never get the image out of their heads and can't get past it for that reason. However angry and lost I am, I know myself to be the former. We had a break before we eloped, while we were both in different countries for 6 months and slept with other people. Didn't bother either of us in the least. That is, the actual effing doesn't compare even slightly to the betrayal of trust thing. Her lies to cover it up previously when confronted on other occasions, and her actively covering up even after confessing. She's attempted to minimize the duration and extent of their relationship, and been caught doing so like 2 or 3 times already. Should I confront this guy? I know his name and what he looks like. My thought is to demand that my wife asks to meet him somewhere public. When he agrees, and he will, I'll walk up to greet him. I want to do this for 3 reasons. 1, to ask him whether they used condoms because I really don't trust my wife to tell me the truth about that, and STDs are real, man. 2, just to say my piece, to let him know what an indefensible thing he did and actively continues to attempt to do. And 3, I know that I'm well past the point of losing my wife's respect. I'm literally working my ass off to get that back. I think that some part of it, of my manhood, whatever that means in 2019, will be gone forever if I don't. At the very least, face the man. I have no intention of getting physical. I wouldn't raise my voice or make a scene. I simply want to hear from his mouth that they use protection, and I want to say my piece, however that manifests. OP, the guy your wife cheated on you with is not your problem, and confronting him will accomplish nothing. Things have gotten really bad, and seemingly no one has considered reaching out for professional help. Get yourselves to couples counseling and you to individual counseling to deal with that anxiety or whatever caused you to fall apart this year. The therapy might not save the relationship, or it might, but you'll benefit from the insights and hopefully do better going forward. Now for some comments. Why confront the guy? What will you gain? None of the reasons you list are good reasons to go there. Plus, you need to understand that this guy isn't whom you should be placing blame on here. So beware of using your anger towards him as a way to deflect blame from your wife. Since you sound positive you can get over this, start working on that. It goes without saying that, first of all, your wife needs to cut the dude out for good. And secondly, start couples counseling today. The part where you say you don't trust your wife to disclose to what extent she endangered your health is very concerning. And it's clear that even before the cheating incident, your marriage wasn't in a good place. I don't think you have any kind of future without counseling. What is the point of confronting him? He knew she was married. He doesn't care how you feel or what you're doing or not doing to save your marriage. As far as asking him whether they used protection, I get why you want to know. But why are you expecting him to tell the truth one way or the other? This is a guy that repeatedly slept with someone else's wife and engaged in ongoing communication with her leading up to and after sleeping with her. Does that sound like someone who cares about being truthful or whose word you can trust? You should go to marriage counseling if you want to try to save your marriage. You're not going to get the satisfaction you think you are by confronting this guy. You're being very, very mean to yourself. We all go through shit, and addiction is a sickness. You and your wife took vows, and when she agreed that she wouldn't go through with separation, she agreed once again to be married. Marriage isn't easy, and it sounds like there's a part of you that thinks her actions are justified, and they're not. Now, as for confronting, it's to each its own. Personally, I would, especially to ask if the sex was safe. And if you feel like it won't do more harm than good, you should also say your piece. But no fighting. Neither of them are worth a visit to jail. As for your marriage, I truly can't say. I personally think it's past getting therapy for your marriage, but you should get some for yourself. And just start looking at all the options. Start practicing self-love and seeing your worth. I wish you mental peace.